A big part of my life has been trying to inspire other people for change, to learn to become their own best friend. And if anyone knows me, if anyone's been a part of any program that I've had, or a part of Epic Journey, or anything like that, or any interaction with myself, it just comes intuitively to try to inspire other people because I know how incredible that one can feel if they actually put into this internal work and they learn these certain practices that keep them consistent. And so, throughout my whole journey, I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals on a pretty intimate level. I had a lot of touch and goes, but on the more intimate one on one like this, I've probably had hundreds over the last 10 plus years. And as you go throughout this whole journey and have a kind of a pulse on what makes certain people well. I think we're all very, very similar, and a lot of us have the same struggles in life. They look different, but there's a framework of us. And I genuinely believe that the true healing, what I've seen, is when people can really be conscious to learn to become their own best friend. And actually, what does that mean? And to learn to ask yourself certain questions of what you need and where are we going. And for anyone that's in that point in life to where, life is good, but you just feel a little bit unsettled, you're maybe moving too quickly and you're doing things that you don't know why you're actually doing them, and nothing is truly bringing in that really good energy to making your nervous system feel whole, and maybe you're moving too much. I've totally been in that place, even with action sports. I was jumping out of airplanes and riding dirt bikes, and then I would go and surf, and I would do this all in one freaking day, and then I'd probably go for a run. And at a certain point in life, I think that was pretty incredible to experience, but I was just moving too much, and I just was trying of avoiding something. And until I brought this mindfulness aspect into my life, I really got to see, what I was running from. And asking myself, I'm a huge advocate for writing. If I could sit there and ask myself, hey, Preston, what do you need? What are you running from? What do we need to bring into our life? Or what are we not looking at within ourselves that we don't want to look at? And once you start to really prompt yourself, I think we all have the answers within us. We just need the right question to be asked, either from you or from another individual who can take you on a journey. And when you can really get to a soul to soul level with yourself or with another individual kind of guiding you through this, kind of like this intimate level, what we're doing right now, is if you can find that in your life or even bring that on or hire that individual on that knows what they're doing, I think can absolutely transform your life. And to really challenge yourself to ask questions. I feel that not a lot of people really ask too many questions, and they don't know the answers because they're operating a certain way in life and they're stuck in a certain place in life. But yet, this person has access to so much information on our phones or individuals out there, whatever you may be, that then what does it come down to? People have so much knowledge at the tip of their fingers. Like, oh my gosh, this ChatGPT and AI these days can give you everything that could ever want. Well, then I looked at, I'm like, what does that come down to then? Well, then that comes down to fear. People get so afraid of this illusion of fear, this whole thing that's out there in the future, that is this complete illusion that we have constructed in our mind, that maybe this failure, or I'm not enough, I don't know how to do that, whatever it may be. People will judge me for that, whatever it may be. Well, if your body intuitively wants to go and do something, and your heart and your spirit, it kind of feels really excited to do something, you need to sit back and really understand that. Like, you're excited about something. And what's holding you back may be this fear or this lack of knowledge or whatever it may be. Well, you think that anyone that's ever created anything, any business, or any person that's been in a certain sport or career direction or whatever it may be, knew everything right off the bat, right? I mean, I most certainly didn't. I didn't know anything before I started any business, any sport, whatever, publishing a book, but I knew people that did know. And I'm nothing freaking special. Maybe I'm just dumb enough to try. And I think by trying and executing starts to build this confidence, and you start to actually design, okay, I'm going to go and do X. And you start incrementally having a checklist every single day, and you start to do maybe a few things a day on that project. And before you know it, you start getting a little bit closer and closer, and you're having these challenges. And then, okay, well, I don't know how to do this. Chat GPT, call a friend, go online, and you can learn anything that you want to do. And if you can really simplify it and get it down in writing to really just start making a checklist to incrementally get yourself to that place and be patient with it, then before you know it, that's how things really start to happen. And as you're going down this path of taking care of yourself, of your mind, your body, and your spirit on a consistent basis, and you're showing up correctly and you're executing on these goals, and you are just not getting distracted by the bright and shiny objects that certainly come, especially when you're on a journey of building something or yourself, whatever it may be, that you're going to have these things that present themselves that look bright and shiny that are going to distract you from if you really want this goal to happen. I've had it numerous times where I'm going to go and create a business, and then all of a sudden someone else wants to do it with me, or hey man, you want to join this or that, and it can distract you. But I'm like, no, shut up, get away. I thank you for the opportunity, but for some reason I feel it in my heart that I have to continue and do this. And that can be really hard at times, but that's there's so many levels to get to that certain point before you even have those types of opportunities even presented to yourself. But you have to start somewhere. And a lot of people in recovery that I work with, or even that are currently in treatment, want to go out and start right at the top. But realistically, not a lot of people have enough knowledge for that or confidence in that. And so you have to incrementally start building yourself back up and start taking care of yourself and your recovery and putting that first to make sure that you're okay. Because when you start going down a path with more things to do, challenging things, stressful situations, whatever it may be, that it might be too soon for you to do that because you're maybe not prepared enough to handle with the stresses that come with that path. So incrementally just building yourself up on this path, that pointing yourself in a direction, I think is extremely important. And they have in treatment, they call them get well jobs, which, I definitely had that because I was learning where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And I think that's extremely important. A part of this process is to go out and just get the understanding of just, consistency and structure in your life. Because when we're out in the streets and running and gunning and just all over the place and we're a mess, we have no structure in our life. So when you can bring structure and you can go on your calendar and you can look, okay, I have my morning routine, then I get off into work and I do these goals within my work, and then I come back home and I do this. And then you really can just design a roadmap and a structure to move yourself forward. And if you put too much on your plate too soon, you're just going to spin out because it certainly can get really stressful. And so just to patiently, incrementally to start to rebuild yourself and to learn, that your recovery has to come first. Because if you don't put that first and you go and relapse, well, shit, that's a dangerous thing to do. And you can just lose everything. I've seen it time and time again. And so I really want to teach people and have people really understand, or you understand that I'm watching this, is that you have to start with realistic goals and do not set these high expectations of yourself right off the bat. So many people want to just start right back at the top. I just had a girl who just graduated from treatment, and 2 weeks later, she wants to build the treatment center. I mean, she's got like 90 days sober. And okay, hey, down the road, yeah, heck yeah, give it a couple years, yeah, go for it. But immediately just wanting to, jump right back into it. And this lady's in her 60s, and that's just a lot to put on one's plate, especially with you just newly sober. So I recommend people down the road, heck yeah, go, build a treatment center, strive for a business, whatever it may be. It's a beautiful path. It's extremely challenging, but also worth it, I feel, and it builds a lot of character. But to incrementally to point yourself in a direction, ahead of time, to where, hey, like sit back with myself, okay, what do I want to do with my life and where do I want to go? And if it's in recovery, typically a lot of people end up staying within behavioral health and finding a job within treatment. And I think that's incredible because, what better to inspire someone else than someone that's walked your path? I think that's incredible because, you can, uh, I want to say align with them, but you've walked in their shoes in a certain way. And so, what better to inspire people? Hey, I've been where you've been, and look, this is what I did, and it's not overcomplicated. But maybe hey, I'll even walk with you. Sometimes that comes in a form of a mentor or a sponsor, and that is a whole other topic and a magical place to get when you start mentoring other people. So just to incrementally start pointing yourself in a direction of where you want to go. You don't know what the future may bring, you don't know, but you know that you feel aligned and the energy of where you're working in your career is going in a positive direction. And to stick with it. There's going to be hard days, 100%. But no matter what, that you know in your heart that you're going in the right direction, and to just be conscious and aware of when you're get reactionary and you're feeling a certain way. Well, I think that's an incredible opportunity and a signal. If you get reactionary, like someone told me to practice what I preached the other day, and I go as a mentor of mine, father figure type guy, big brother, whatever you. I go over to his house and we have our conversation and he said, "Hey Preston, remember, practice what you preach." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like after I left his house, I'm like driving, "You practice what I preach? What do you mean, man?" But it was an opportunity for me because he made me feel a certain way and kind of kept me accountable and just checked me. And so as I'm driving down the road, I'm like, huh, well, I've been telling everyone else to make decisions based on energy and alignment, and to learn what alignment feels like, and learn energy of what's good and what's bad, and to kind of have a good understanding of those. And I'm telling other people to just step out of things that don't feel in alignment, and maybe it's time to let that go if that's bringing you bad energy and that's not making you feel well. It should be making you feel really good in a place that you're at in life. Well, I wasn't doing it myself, so I had to drop an account that I was working with just because I was out of alignment with some individuals there. Ultimately, I dropped it, and this huge space of creativity opened up in my mind to where I had more ideas and energy. It just opened up. If you're looking at like a pie chart, just opened up like 33% of that was just free to go off and think and create. And then it took me down this whole other path that is ultimately what I'm supposed to be doing, anyways. And so, by him telling me practice what you preach, made me feel a certain way, and then I know to go and execute on that. But before I went and did that, I went by one of the spiritual healers that I work with from time to time. I ran that by other people. I ran it ultimately by myself and my significant other, Kaylee. I brought it to her, and she agreed. But ultimately, I had to make the decision for myself and check in with myself, like, well, Preston, this is not making us feel well. And sure enough, I dropped it, opened up space and for new opportunities and good energy. And all of a sudden, before you know it, all of these cool things are happening now because I dropped something that was not aligned with myself. And so the whole part of this, what I'm getting at with all of this, is to really set up a practice and to be mindful of how we're operating in life, and to really slow down and be really methodical and conscious with the decisions that we're all making for our life. Because one decision, the wrong decision, can take you down a whole other path with different people and places and things that you maybe shouldn't even gone down that way. But if you were mindful and conscious of just how you were operating in life, that you could have just chosen maybe another path that would have pointed you down the more important, or not say it, maybe a more aligned path. But then again, not everything's so black and white. Maybe you had to go down this other path that was in alignment to learn that in the future to make better decisions on energy and alignment, and to really be conscious and mindful and aware of these decisions that we're making. And that just comes with all encompassing a really conscious and stable and content and an experienced individual that shows up in the world really at an optimized level and really a high performer. Because when you're operating at that level, everything starts to shift and to get a little bit different. And very few operate at that level. So I love to help inspire people that I work with or even I'm alongside to really understand that you are where you're at in life based on your best decision making. And so if you can make better decisions and more mindful decisions, then your life is going to show up in that way. So it's something to consider, is to really sit back and be mindful of how you're operating in the world and how are you treating yourself, and to really make decisions based on energy and alignment and be focused and structured, and not to be doing so much that you don't have time to enjoy life. If you put so much work and so much stuff on your plate that you really just, you, weeks and months and even years can blow by, and if you look back, like, how much life did you actually get to experience? Because you had so many things to do that you forgot how important it is to go out and have fun. You forgot to go out and to get into nature and go camping or learn a different sport or a craft or some type of art, photography, videography. What it is, it's not all about work, but I think trying to bring some balance within that is extremely important. So show up mindful, and just be conscious of how you're operating in life, and your life will truly transform. I think your consciousness will truly transform as well.